Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. So today we will be talking about parent to child communication. So this is one of the most important topics in LWC wherein we can see how does a parent communicate to a child component. So till now what we have seen is basically one component inside another component. Now let us see how these components interact with each other. How do they pass data? How do they call each other's methods? So this will be today's agenda. So before jumping on to the parent and child communication, first we need to understand the API decorator. API decorator is one important decorator in LWC which helps us to understand how we can communicate data and basically communicate between the components. So what is API? API decorator is used when we want to make any attribute as public. So whenever we want to expose our attributes, say methods or variables to as a public property, so we can expose it using the API decorator. Okay. Now there is some point to be noted down. API decorator is a reactive decorator. What is a reactive property? Reactive property is something that when you make any changes to that particular property, the component re-renders by itself. You do not have to manually re-render it. So as soon as any property which is API decorator is there, it will be automatically re-rendered whenever the value gets changed. Okay. Now parent to child communication. So we will see how a parent component can pass data to a child component. Okay. Now let us see this in action. How does this happen? So for the callback sessions, we saw that we had a parent component and a child component, and our output looked something like this. So we have a parent component, we have a child component, and there were some console logs. Today we will see how we can pass the data between parent and child. Okay, so let us first say that create a p tag, and let's say this is a parent to child communication lesson. So this will obviously print the particular text below the child component. Yeah, so there is nothing new in this, we already know about it. But what about I want this particular text value from my parent dynamically, and this I want my child component to just render it whatever my parent component is sending out to me. So for that I would need a property. Let's call this property as message. Okay. Now this API property we need to import it from LWC. Yeah. Okay. Cool. Now I'll embed this property into the HTML and we will deploy this component. Meanwhile, coming back to the parent. So I can say in my parent that, so let us give some other message. This is a parent to child communication lesson. This is Salesforce Supercharge video to learn about parent to child. communication. Okay, fine. Now let us see whether we can see this particular message dynamically or not. Yeah. So this is a Salesforce Superchat video to learn about parent-to-child communication. So what's happening in this is, in real-time scenarios, we do not hard code anything. Everything is dynamically made, so it is more robust and we are able to scale it. So in parent, we can pass a message or a value, and the child attribute can simply use it. So I can pass other attributes as well. Let's say I want this to be deployed only when my parent is uh, I'll say is visible. So only when my is visible property is true, we will be rendering this message. So again, I'll use the API decorator and we will pass the is visible property from parent. Now, is visible, I can use it like this. Also, this is true. Okay. Now, one thing we need to note over here is, as V was in a capital letter, so LWC says that you need to write it in this format for any capital letters. Okay. Now let's see. Our is visible, we have passed as true. Now let's pass it as false. Let's see if that works. So we do not expect to see this text over there in the child component. So if we directly give is visible equals to false, it is not a valid attribute. Okay. So it should be in the lower case only. Fine. Now what we need to do is, we have passed data successfully. Now we need to see if we can call any methods. Now let's say I want to reset this message. So let's create a lightning button. Okay. Variant will take as a brand. Reset message. Okay. On click will say reset child message. Fine. Now let us use this create a method over in our parent. Now when we click on this particular button, reset message, our parent method will get called. So how does our child get called? So we have to use the template.query selector in our code, and we simply find this child method, child component inside our JS class, and then we can call our. So what this will do is, basically this will fetch our child component, and then we can use our child component methods. Okay. Now let's say reset message. So we'll reset this message to Salesforce Supercharge video lesson to learn about parent to child communication. Okay, now let us deploy this. So we have a reset message method available in our child component, and we will call this parent component on the click of a button. Right now, there is a slight mistake in this particular piece of code. We have written our method properly, we have called our child method properly, but there is a slight mistake. I'll show you. This will not run. Okay, 1 second. We need to make this property as true only. Okay, let us remove the is visible thing completely right now. Okay, so right now the reset message will not be working properly. If I see, if I click on it multiple times, even though it will not work. Why? Why this will not work? Because we have not used our API decorator here. So API decorator works with the attributes, the variables, and the methods as well. So we can expose our methods to our parent components via the API decorator. So this way we can reuse our child component multiple times. We'll talk more about reusability. So if I reset this message now, the message has reset. Okay. So there, in real time scenarios, there happens multiple times that we create some generic components. We create everything in that component as a dynamic way, and we make it generic, and we expect that to be used within some parent components and get the inputs from parent, right? So we can get the attributes from parents, we can get the method call from parents. So that way we can utilize our one component at several other pages. So that is the beauty of parent to child communication. That way we write our code once and run it multiple times. Okay, so this was about our communication from parent to child. How can we communicate from child to parent back? This we will see in our next video. Till then, stay tuned. Please share and subscribe if you like the video and content. Thank you so much.